What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Flyin Style podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Mitchell, back with my co-host, Stephen Maslij.
What's up, Matthew?
We are coming back to you guys after the bye. As you can tell, Maslij is excited to get back to football. I'm excited to start talking about some Eagles football. So we're ready to get back into it. I'm sure the Eagles team is as well. But before we get back into our weekly Eagles stuff, let's talk about some around the league stuff. We obviously had the trade deadline pass by while we were on the bye. So, Maslij, why don't you fill us in on a couple of the big moves around the league?
Well, everyone wants to leave the Jets organization. That seems kind of apparent. They acquired Sauce Gardner from the Indianapolis Colts, got Sauce Gardner from the Jets, sending them, I believe, 2 first-round picks, which is a pretty hefty price to play, but the highest paid corner in the league, possibly. One of at least top 5 highest paid corners in the league. Big acquisition for the Colts. Quinnen Williams goes to Dallas, also from the Jets. I believe they gave a first and a second and other things.
I think it was a first and second in Mazi Smith.
Yeah. And then Raheem Shaheed to Seattle, Jacoby Myers, Jacksonville. A lot of little names like Logan Thomas to Dallas. And we can talk about ours in a sec, but
Logan Wilson.
Nothing like crazy. I think the biggest one is Sauce, but
I would agree. That's definitely the biggest one. And I honestly think that they overpaid a little bit because I really don't think Sauce has been playing all that great since he made his big name. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say he's a bad cornerback, but I don't know that there's any cornerback in the league worth 2 first-round picks right now, let alone the way Sauce has been playing. But as you mentioned, nobody really wants to play for the Jets right now. They're all in a terrible situation over there. Obviously, you could see how upset Breece Hall was that he didn't get shipped out as well. But maybe the change of scenery will be nice for him, and it obviously gives the Colts a huge boost to being the number 1 seed in the AFC right now. And on the Eagles side of the ball, we also made quite a few acquisitions of our own. So why don't you let our fans know what we got?
So Jalen Phillips, we acquired for the Dolphins in exchange for a 2026 third-round pick. We can get more into what we could acquire if he signs elsewhere. But basically, Jalen Phillips, big Fangio loves this guy. He used to coach him back when he was a D coordinator there. He's been just riddled with injuries, has been his only problem. On the field, he's been very productive and a huge acquisition to our D-line. Michael Carter II was acquired from the Jets, standing for Mechie and a 6th-round pick. Michael Carter is a slot corner, can play outside. So we're going to get into what we think is going to happen with Coop, if we're going to move him outside, how we're going to use Michael Carter. And then we acquired another corner from the Ravens in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick. And the Ravens got a 2026 6th-round pick, and we got a 2027 and Jair Alexander, who used to be an All-Pro, is only 28 years old, and we're going to get into if he can restart. But just like initially, what do you think of these trades? And did you want anything more, or what did you think about this?
I liked all the moves that we made. I certainly wish that we made a little bit more of an effort to get like a really good guy at corner. Obviously, we'll talk about Jair Alexander and Michael Carter and what roles they're going to serve on our team. But I think that both situations are low risk, high reward. Especially Jair Alexander. Obviously, he's been a healthy scratch from a few games this year. He's only played in 2 games, and from what I understand, he was relatively the biggest reason that the Ravens lost in week 1. He was getting picked on all game, and he's been struggling to come back from injuries, and it's hard to tell if he's lost a step or if he just wasn't fully healed. So we'll get to see what kind of impact he might have on the team. I would assume he's going to have an early impact in whether it be good or bad. I think you're going to see him on the field relatively quick, considering our cornerback 2 situation right now. But you might not see him right away. I doubt you'll see him Sunday, but I think you'll see him pretty quick. And on the other end, getting Michael Carter, I think just frees up a lot of movability with the secondary. I think that having Michael Carter gives you the ability to A, have some depth, B, move Cooper outside if you need to, C, move Cooper to safety if you need to, and have the other two, and still have him at slot and somebody else on the outside. and D, just having more guys to work with and rotate around. So I think that this was, a good move. I don't think you're going to see as much Michael Carter unless they move Coop to outside. And I would assume that's in their minds, but I know that Fangio is a pretty stuck in his ways old man. So if he likes Coop on the inside, I doubt he's going to move him outside. But I do think that it's been discussed and it's something that they understand as a possibility.
Yeah.
And
I completely agree. I mean, we're going to see what happens Monday. We'll see exactly what's going to happen, but these are all great ideas. I only think like you said, it's only going to help us. There's no reason that it could hurt us what's the worst that can happen? They play worse than Keeley.
Yeah, I don't think that we can go down in the cornerback department. It would only be pretty on par with what we have going on right now. So I don't think it's a bad move. And if you can somehow get Jair Alexander healthy and, he returns even similar to the form that he was when he was an All-Pro not even a year and a half ago, then that would be fantastic. But I do fear that the injuries have slowed him down a good amount, and we'll see if that comes to fruition. But I think that he's probably I don't want to say the most exciting because Jalen Phillips is probably the biggest, is the biggest acquisition we got. But I think that he's kind of like an X factor. If he pans out and we gave up practically nothing for him, that's going to be a huge deal. But that's why it's a low risk, high reward kind of deal. If he doesn't pan out, you kind of assumed it wasn't, So I feel like it doesn't really make anyone look good or bad. I think adding depth to that secondary is helpful. And then on the other hand, let's move into Jalen Phillips and getting that edge rusher. I think that Jalen Phillips was probably the best acquisition we could have made at the edge. I know that there was rumors that we made attempts at Myles Garrett, and there was potential that we would go after Trey Hendrickson, but I think that was always kind of a long shot, especially the Myles Garrett thing. Obviously, he just signed the biggest contract in DN history. I did find it interesting that Howie, if the rumors are true that he went after Myles Garrett, it would be interesting to think that, the implications mean that he was always willing to get one of those big guys and pay them that money, because he knows that he'd be taking on that contract as well as giving up 3 first-round picks. So, he was certainly all in on doing it if that's the case. And I definitely find that interesting. But obviously, it was incredibly unrealistic. And I think Jalen Phillips made a lot of sense. Like you said, he's had some injury history. And he's a guy that's played in a Vic Fangio system, somebody that Vic enjoys a lot. And he's definitely a physical specimen when he's not injured. He's, from what I've understand of him, he's been like borderline NFL ready since high school. He was he was a first round pick, right?
Yes, first round, 18th overall, 2021.
So I think that it's a big piece to add, and it's something that we've definitely needed. And getting him and Brandon Graham off the edges, even though Brandon's probably going to be playing like 20 to 30 snaps a game, if even that. But it just adds, again, depth to this lineup, and you're going to be getting back Nolan Smith. And I just think it definitely gives you a lot more fresh legs and leadership. And I'm excited about the moves.
Yeah. Every bit of 6'5", 6'6", 260. And it's just like his best year is actually his rookie year, having 8.5 sacks in the 5 games that he actually started in 17 games he played. And I'm it's a prove it deal. I hope he does. He seems happy to be here. I'm happy to be on a winning team again. Miami has had their downfalls this year for sure. But I think I'm more excited about that than anything. And then to make one comment about Jair, it kind of reminds me of the Darius Leonard or Shaq Leonard situation where it's like he was so good and is like not even like not so long ago prime, but like you just mentioned a year and a half ago is all pro. But then that year and a half was I forget the injury. I know it's something.
I'm pretty sure it's a knee thing that just has never healed.
Yeah, like it's that some people just don't recover from certain things like that. Again, we'll see. Maybe he'll light a fire under his butt and he'll play better here. But I mean,
it's very hard to say. Listen, sometimes changes of scenery are all you really need. We've seen it happen with plenty of the Eagles guys. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. It feels like every time an Eagles player leaves here, they love to go find success elsewhere, and especially even the ones that we end up cutting. Like Josh Jobe is having an incredible season over in Seattle. We've seen, Bradley Roby went to the Broncos and became like an All-Pro corner back in the day. Rasul Douglas left the team and became great for the Packers. Patrick Chung for the Patriots for a while. Josh Sweat's doing his thing over in Arizona, even though we, kind of could have seen that one coming. But Milton Williams, it just happens a lot with the Eagles. So, it's, I forget where I was even going with this, but change of scenery. Change of scenery. I just think that sometimes a change of scenery can be really, really good for players, and hopefully it can be something for Jair Alexander. It might not, like I said, but either way, I just feel like taking a chance on it is better than not. Like, I've been sitting here all year thinking, I understand that a guy like what's his name, Stephon Gilmore, is old, and probably ready to retire, but hasn't retired yet and has been sitting on his couch all year. We're having all this corner trouble. Why can't you go out and call guys like that? We've talked about Justin Simmons. We've talked about, like, we have depth problems at safety. Like, why I'll never really understand why you can't go after guys like that, or why you don't want to, or if they're just not capable. They obviously, there's a reason they're not going after them, something that we don't get to see. Maybe those guys aren't good anymore. I've got no idea, but it's hard to watch these guys that do struggle, like Keely Ringo and Dory Jackson, and I'm not going to say Makuba because he's a rookie. He just makes rookie mistakes, but like, we've definitely needed some safety depth, but you just don't go after these guys. You sign a guy like Marcus Epps rather than Justin Simmons. Like, in what world can you tell me that Marcus Epps is better than Justin Simmons? So, like, I'll never understand that aspect of it, but at the same time, they tend to see things that we don't. So I've learned to try to trust the professionals.
Yeah. But in this bye week, we coming off a win against the Giants, a dominant win. We're not going to get into that too much since it was 2 weeks ago, but we had a great bye week. I mean, everyone in our division lost.
Everyone we needed to lose in general lost as well. All other NFC teams that are in pursuit of the 1 seed also lost, outside of, I think, the Buccaneers were on bye, right?
Yeah, they were also on bye. But yeah, I mean, I don't wish this upon anyone, but poor Jalen Daniels goes down in a game that's 38-7 and is playing out there, and his opposite arm just goes the opposite way. It says it's a dislocation, but it looked so much worse on the field. But it seems like he's pretty much done for the season. The Cowboys look struggle-ish versus the Cardinals, to say the least. They made the Cardinals defense look like the best defense in the league. And then the Giants got kind of squandered by the Niners. But I mean, this division, just looking at it, if we can get through these 2 games, we can, like this Packers game and this Detroit game, I have all the confidence in the world that we could definitely get the 1 seed and close out this division rather quickly.
I mean, at the pace that we're on the current pace, obviously things can change, things can turn around, but right now we're currently on pace to be the first team in the NFL to lock up a division, which is a great feeling. We've had a lot of help from the other teams in our division that have just been struggling, like you said, bad defense from the Cowboys, the Giants. I've had a culture change, but they're still just not there yet, and Commanders have been riddled with injuries. So, I mean, it's definitely something the Eagles have to take advantage of and attack at. They need to not let their foot off the gas by any means, because we're already hearing people talk about the fact that the division's locked up already, and that is certainly not the case. It is week 9 or 10 or whatever. So still plenty of time, but I do think the Eagles are in a really good position, and I think that they were definitely hitting stride at the right time. I very much hope that how I always feel about the bye week. I very much hope that the bye week doesn't kind of stall their momentum that they just got going. But it's damn, I lost my train of thought again. I tend to worry about them coming out of the bye, like I was saying, and I'm especially worried by the fact that it's a good team in the Green Bay Packers. I feel a little reassured by the fact that they just lost to the Carolina Panthers, which was a really, really bad loss on their end. But that also makes me lean in a way that's like, well, they're going to have a fire under their ass when they come into this game now because they got to prove it now, So they're coming from a prove it game, against a team that's always, against the Eagles, who always have a target on their back, being the world champs right now, and coming out of the bye, everyone's relaxed. It's bad scenario for the Eagles to go into, I think, especially going into Lambeau Field that is going to be under 25 degrees and might be snowing. So this is certainly not a great situation to be coming out of the bye to.
I mean, nothing unfamiliar. I mean, it's obviously you watch last week and you think, wow, Green Bay is just a horrific team. And sometimes I agree with you, but they have moments where they're really good, and then
they're inconsistent, but they're a good team.
Yeah, I mean, they circled us on their calendar, losing the playoffs to us, and that could have been another overlook of Carolina. And this is only gonna Monday Night Football. They even get the extra day, and they're just gonna be juiced up for this game and give everything they got. But I mean,
Michael Parsons is gonna be, chomping at the bit for this game too. No matter what, he's always gonna have it out for the Eagles a little bit because they're not only his hometown team, but we've obviously chirped him plenty.
Yeah, no, definitely. Good old Micah. But I kind of feel confident in this game. I'm not a huge Jordan Love guy. Going into this game where the two things that we both do well is not turn the ball over. The Packers have 5 turnovers on a season. We only have 3 turnovers on a season, first and second in the league. It's a game that's going to come down to turnover differential, taking care of the ball. And like you said, it's going to be not the greatest of weather conditions. I really think it's going to come down to our defense, and how our defense plays against them is going to be a determined factor, because I think our offense can score on this Packers defense. Whether it happens, I hope. It's a weird game. I think you look at the Packers roster and you see, oh yeah, Micah, but nothing really. Obviously, Josh Jacobs had a great year, but Tucker Kraft going down which is their leading receiver, still is sad. He's out with an ACL for the season, and you got Rashad Gary and Xavier McKinney and Parsons, and they're decent. I don't know why I can't be scared of them. I just
I'm not either. I've never been particularly scared of the Packers. I think every year they tend to get heavily overrated for some reason, and I don't really understand why. Especially Jordan Love. You've obviously, if anybody has kept up with our podcast, they know my disdain for Jordan Love, and it's honestly nothing against him. It's just the way that people portray him as some elite quarterback. He's just not. I mean, at no point in his career at this point have I seen him play at an elite level. And I know he has a few game spurts where he plays good against bad defenses and bad teams. But I just don't see the hype. I just really don't. I know he has the tools. I know that he's I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback. But this whole thing that he's up in the upper echelon of quarterbacks is just fantasy. I know everybody saw that throw he made last week, and everybody knows the throw I'm talking about. I don't even have to get into detail.
Triple coverage on Christian Watson. Yeah, I don't know where that ball was going.
He threw it straight to the defender. There wasn't even a receiver in the area.
It was also
I still find him to be incredibly inconsistent. I know that at his best he can play really well, but I don't see that consistency there almost ever. So I don't get a lot of fear out of their team, especially their offense. I don't think their offense is incredibly scary, but our defense is also our slightest weakness. So we'll see how they handle that. I do think that Jordan Love tends to pick apart zones, so I hope that we don't play our casual style of bend don't break defense. But I hope they get after the quarterback, put pressure on him. Hopefully these edge guys, have an impact this game. And I'm curious to see how they're going to handle the the linebacking trio now between Bond, Nakobe, and Campbell, because obviously Zach Bond's not going anywhere, but you also understand that you really have to have Nakobe Dean on the field. And in that situation, in the past couple of weeks, we've had Jihad Campbell lining up on the outside and playing edge rusher for the most part, or outside linebacker. But now that you're getting these edge guys in Jalen Phillips and Brandon Graham and Nolan Smith's coming back, where does Jihad Campbell stand in this defense? What would your suggestion be in terms of what you do with him, or do you just see him kind of be a rotational piece for the time being?
I think it's going to be him and Nakobe rotating, and then basically filling out like the backup if Jalen Phillips ends up being what we think he is. Kind of just giving like breaths to both. I don't think it's like surefire like Nakobe's like way over him or anything, even though I my heart of hearts love Nakobe Dean. I think Jihad has been nothing but great in pass coverage too, and I think he's played a fantastic season. He's maybe the defensive rookie of the year, depending who's voting with Fadil Carter, but he's had a great season. There's no reason for him not to be on the field, and I think Fangio is really good at finding ways to get him on the field, and I think it's just going to just keep rotating. You're going to keep rotating like based on any coverage. If we go into base, we go into like nickel, whatever we go into. I think it's going to be a rotation, and I think he's just as he is as a player hybrid. What?
Kind of just be a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, like, and that's what he kind of was drafted as too. And he did the same thing at Bama, which I'm totally fine with. And that's if he's playing fantastic, leave him in there for more snaps. And so I think they're just going to be riding the hot hand and keep going. I love that Nakobe's back. And it's a good problem to have at the linebacking court, to be completely honest.
Absolutely. It's unfamiliar territory for Eagles fans, honestly. Yeah. I love it.
It's incredible. Will he ever switch to full-time DN? Probably not.
I doubt it. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle the Nakobe Dean contract situation this offseason, and whether they're going to try to because Nakobe is kind of like, to me, kind of seems like clearly the leader of the defense when he's out there. And on top of that, like he's starting to since last year before the injury, it feels like he's been starting to play like the Georgia Nakobe Dean that we all remember, with just the instinctual flying around the field, and he's just around the ball no matter what. Honestly, I kind of stand in the spot where I feel like you want him on the field and you don't want to let him go. And it's going to be an interesting situation to deal with because of how well Jihad Campbell was playing. I actually kind of think that you should move Jihad to a full-time edge rusher, but I don't know because of how good he was in coverage. And maybe that just becomes you start running a 3-4 and you start running with different formations in the center of the field. But I'm just curious to see how they're going to manage it, because it's a weird situation to be in, especially with all the contracts that we have to give out between Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Coop and Quinyon. So we'll see.
Now I just love
go after Jalen Phillips if he has a good year.
Yeah. Well, again, that's another one. I mean, he would have to be super. If he's super stellar, it's going to be another Sweat situation, or Millen Williams. You're not going to be able to pay. If for some reason he comes in here and has 10 sacks to end the year off, and then the last 9 games, it's going to be hard, to be we can pay this guy $40 million and the other guys too.
Well, the one thing I do like out of Howie is that it seems like he's been much, in the past few years of our success, he's been much more willing to admit his wrongs and try to fix them. So, I think that he understands this offseason. He put a lot of faith in the guys that we had in depth and hope that they were going to, fill out their potential and become what we need them to be. And in doing so, he let a lot of people walk that he maybe shouldn't have. I don't think that you could have paid Sweat or Milton. I think no matter what, that was just pretty undoable. But immediately you saw the defects of the defense in that area, right off the bat. And on the corner situation, you let Isaiah Rodgers, who got a small contract, walk. And he's having a great year in Minnesota. That was a bad move by Howie. I'm not going to go ahead and say that not re-signing Mekhi Becton was a bad move because Mekhi Becton has been hurt like every other game for the Chargers. But again, that was a spot that you were hoping that Tyler Steen was going to step into, and he didn't quite fill in the way you had hoped. So, like, they made a lot of hopes that didn't turn out the way that they wanted them to. But Howie was also willing to go out and find replacements for those guys. So, like, I think if you see Jalen Phillips come in and, like you said, have 9 to 10 sacks to finish off the year, he's going to get re-signed. He will, because Howie understands how important getting an edge rusher is. That's why he might have thrown 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett, why he might have thrown 3 first-round picks for Parsons, and why he was willing to, go out and get Jalen Phillips. He understands the importance of having a pass rush on the interior of the line. And, he's going to make sure he doesn't make that mistake again, because I think he understands that letting go of Sweat hurt.
Yeah, and having a good pass rush only helps the secondary do better. I mean, just think about it. I mean, to get to the quarterback faster, they don't have time to throw the ball.
Exactly. You don't have to have good corners back there if you have a good pass rush.
I mean, it is what it is at this point, though.
The contract situation is going to be very interesting moving forward. We've got $8 million. We've got $8 million in cap space, and we've got about 8 or 9 guys that deserve huge contracts. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And obviously, all of the stuff with A.J. Brown could play a role in the future. We will see. A lot of things could happen in the next few years, in the next, couple of years, obviously. But, yeah, we will see. We will see.
But I guess let's get into our score predictions for this Monday Night Football matchup. Packers are slight favorites at home.
Ridiculous. They just lost to the Panthers. What are we talking about?
Hey, week to week, anything could happen in this beautiful NFL that we live in. What do you got? You go first.
I'd say that like we didn't just lose to the Giants 2 weeks ago, but anyway. It's gonna be interesting. I did write this down as a loss in our preseason. Where we thought this was gonna go. I'm very torn because I like I explained to you earlier, all the factors going against us coming out of the bye concern me. But on the other hand, I think we're a much better team than they are. I think that we're more consistent, or in the past 3 to 4 weeks, we've been playing more consistent. And I trust Jalen Hurts a heck of a lot more than I trust Jordan Love. And I don't care if you agree or disagree with me to anyone out there, but Jalen Hurts is 10 times the quarterback that Jordan Love is right now. Cry to your grandma about it. And on top of that, I think that if you can get the running game going, which I know they have a good run defense, but if you can get the running game going the way that it was the other day, I think that you're going to have a good day against this team. So with that in mind, I'm going to say the score is going to be, you know how I love 31. It's always the first number that pops in my mind. I'm actually going to say 35 to 1. Yeah, quick little connection issue. Sorry about that, guys. But if you didn't hear my prediction, I said I think it's going to be 35 to 31 for the Birds.
I love it. I'm gonna go 27-18. Don't know why. Don't think there's gonna be a lot of field goals, but I guess my score prediction says there is.
Well, I think that I'm being a little. I already overlooked the fact that it's going to be freezing and maybe snowing. So, like, I might be being incredibly bold saying it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think I'm assuming there's going to be perfect conditions in my prediction.
I kind of take that back. I think it might be a one-score game. I'll go 24-20 us. I think it's going to be a hard-fought matchup. I really think
I think so too.
Green Bay team's going to really just give everything they got. I really think we're a better roster. Getting AJ back didn't seem to matter in the other games, so maybe we should sit him.
Stop it.
I'm just joking. It's the Giants. Why will we ever lose to that team? But it's an interesting spot. You set out to the bye. If there is any time to have a loss, it seems like a loss, but I'm not going to take a loss because I just watched Jordan Love stink. We just need to call it.
And on top of that, this has huge implications for the 1 seed coming down the line. This is kind of a huge game for the Eagles right now.
Yeah, it's going to be that, and then next week versus the Lions, and then these are 2 huge games. This is a turning point in the season, whether or not we're going to be the 1 seed. If we lose both of these games, we might be like kind of knocked out. Like it's go either way. We could kind of not saying lock up the 1 seed because that's way too early, but it's definitely a path, a very
this has
path.
Drastic implications in one direction or the other.
Yes, and this is going to be ginormous, and it's going to be. This is basically a borderline. This is the regular season playoff game type thing. Like
it is.
It's going to be interesting. We coming into their house, Lambeau Field. I'm starting to hate the Packers. I'll be honest with you. Matt LaFleur going against the tush push. I can't wait to run it on him every single time we get the chance to. Over and over and over. He spoke out today and goes, not more so criticizing, I'm more so focused on stopping it. I hate that. It drives me insane.
The thing that's been bothering me the most, and it's been talked about on a lot of platforms, is the fact the Bills have run more tush pushes this year than the Eagles have.
Yeah,
and nobody's talking about it. Well, I just said people are talking about it, but conversation only started making its rounds in the past couple of days.
Yeah, hypocrites, whatever. But
I'm the biggest hypocrite when it comes to football. I can't say anything. Just talking about how the Packers lost to the. Hey, Packers lost to 2 bad teams this year, though. They lost to the Browns and the Panthers. So.
When you put it like that, I think we'll be better. But
that's what I'm saying. I think that's locked up a win for us. Yes, for me, knocking on wood as we speak. But I'm just saying.
Well, I also, since we got that done with, I just want to have a quick conversation because we were having it on the phone earlier of I'm just looking around the league real quick. I wanted to do this with you because I just kind of wanted to talk to you. I was going to talk to you at it, not even being recorded. But so looking at like the AFC standings right now, just looking at the top of them, the Colts, New England, and Denver. Who would have thought that's the top 3 teams in the AFC?
Not many.
The what? It's insane. The Colts ended up losing to the Steelers last week. Everyone was saying, "Oh, the pumpkin came for Danny Dimes." Blah blah blah. Steelers defense has played fantastic football. Stuff that they were expected to do like all year and just were non-existent. TJ Watt started turning TJ Watt again. New England came down to the wire with the Falcons. I was talking to you about how I think they're a little fraudulent just because of who they've been playing and the teams that they've been beating. What are your thoughts on like both of those 2 teams of like you could look around the NFC and be like, all right, like you see the top of it, the Eagles, Tampa Bay, Seattle, like Green Bay, they all been playing really well. Seattle's kind of the one that you didn't expect necessarily to be at the top.
Definitely didn't expect. I don't think anyone expected Seattle to be one of the best teams in the NFL this year.
Just look at the NFC. NFC West has 2 6-2 teams and 1 6-3 team. Like that's a division.
That is
even
the
NFC
right now.
Even the NFC North is very competitive. Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, and Minnesota all being 500 or above. What are your thoughts on like you look at the standings right now? Who's your team out of the AFC that you like going forward, and like who's your team out of the NFC other than the Eagles that you like going forward?
Well, I'll start with the fact that I do think that those teams that are up there are like they don't strike me as Super Bowl contenders, but they strike me as good teams that are coming around and they're young and figuring it out. I talked to you about the fact that I think that the Patriots are very similar to last year's Commanders in the sense that they're running hot with a new quarterback, a new system, a new coach. Everything's going in their direction. It's all new stuff that none of the other teams have film on, and They're making success out of it. Drake May is playing incredibly well, but I don't think that they have the talent on that team to be anything special. I don't think that they are quite there yet, but they're well on their way. I don't want to say they're going to have a collapse, but I don't think that they're gonna be the class of the AFC. And on the Colts side, I actually have a lot more faith in them. I think that obviously Danny Dimes we've seen a lot of interesting things out of him. But I tend to stand on the side that you saw him get that big contract for a reason. Like, was it a stupid deal? Absolutely. But did he play well enough to earn that deal? Yes, he did. So when he's playing well, he's playing very well. And he played for a really bad team for a lot of years with no offensive line and little to no weapons on the outside to work with either. So, you see him go over to a much more well-versed Colts team with a good O-line. I don't think they have much better of offensive weapons outside of, JT. But I think that,
Tyler Warren's been pretty good.
Tyler Warren's been great, yeah. But that's that's obviously a rookie that stepped in this year, and Pittman's also great. They're all playing very well, so I think that situation seems a little bit more real. They feel a little bit more like the Vikings of last year, but I actually have more faith in Danny Dimes than I did in Sam Darnold last year. I actually think that he's gonna keep them on the top of the AFC, and they're gonna ride high into the playoffs. Do I think that they're Super Bowl contenders? I'm still trying to figure that out. We did see them kind of take a crap last week, and I know the Steelers played really good defense, and the Steelers aren't a bad team either. So
those teams that we're talking about, which is crazy, they beat the Pats and the Colts, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, yes, they did, and that is interesting. But and the Steelers are nothing to sneeze at either. But they also don't scare me very much. They just these are all kind of just solid teams that can beat you on any given Sunday. But I don't really hold them in the upper echelon of being in contention for a Super Bowl quite yet.
Yeah, even the Broncos, same deal. Like, they have a stellar defense. Like, they beat us, but I can't say I have complete faith in Bo Nix.
I don't really think so either. I think that we should have won that game against the Broncos, and I think obviously everybody knows that the Giants really should have won that game against the Broncos, and suddenly the Broncos are not at the top of the AFC anymore.
Dude, but last week they went down to the wire against Davis Mills and the Texans because CJ Stroud got knocked out in the first quarter.
They are competitive and they play hard-nosed football, but again, not giving me vibes that they are it yet. I think out of those three teams, it would be the Colts, the Broncos, and the Patriots in that order. But in terms of just those three, not in terms of the AFC. Yeah. If I'm talking about the AFC in general, I do really think I still like the Bills and the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs have had their struggles. Until I see the dynasty fall entirely, it's hard for me not to think that Andy Reid and Mahomes and Travis Kelce are going to find a way to, squeeze into the playoffs and give teams hard games. So, at the moment, it's still those two for me. I would say those two and the Colts are my favorites from the AFC right now.
I'll be honest. I know, and maybe this is a bold take. Maybe it's just like a plain take. But I think the Ravens are going to win NFC North or NFC East.
It's or NFC North. Ridiculous take. It's definitely not a ridiculous take. Dude, their schedule is easy, isn't it?
Dude, it's Minnesota, Cleveland, Jets, Bengals, Pitt. Obviously, got to play Pitt, Bengals, and then a little bit harder toward the end. But it's very doable for them to with Lamar back to
The issue with the Ravens winning the division and making the playoffs is that they basically have to win out, and on top of winning out, they probably are going to need a little bit of help from the other teams as well. So, I don't think the Bengals are going to be in contention. It's obviously between them and the Steelers, but the Steelers are keeping good enough pace to stay ahead. So they're definitely going to need some help. But it's not unrealistic. I think it's definitely doable.
No, it's also crazy because let me double check. I don't think because they haven't played the Steelers twice yet, or they're 1-0 in the division, like the Ravens are. So they have they have 2 games against the Steelers still. They have 2 games against the Bengals. They have another game against the Browns. Like, they do still have like basically all the division games. So they could like, if they do, they write their own destiny, like, which is crazy because that can be a whole flip if they beat the Steelers twice. But I'm just kind of looking around, kind of just chatting about. I know we're kind of getting just sidetracked and talking, but
no, it's an interesting year because I don't think that there's any. I think it's a good conversation to start because this is kind of the first year in a while that not a single team on any side stands out as the team. Like, there's not one team that you think just has it right now. And I think if you ask most people, the Eagles probably hold that title at the moment just because they're the reigning champs and they are still on the top of their division and conference. But man, I think everybody's seen the inconsistencies out of them too. So like, it's hard to say with certainty about anyone or anything. I have a lot of confidence in the way the Eagles have played the past few weeks that I might be jumping the gun, and I'm not going to be afraid to say so if I am. But to me, it felt like they found it. They found their stride. They started using more I think to me, the biggest thing was obviously the play. To me, it was just always the play calling. I think the lack of creativity in the play calling and the formations and the motions and the smoke and mirrors was the biggest problem. And then suddenly you change shit up and make it, under center, and you start running play actions and you start running different motions and you start running it out of different formations and whatnot. And suddenly you start seeing success in every facet of the game. Shocker. So to me, I think that was a big key to them. And it just seems like they're playing with more confidence than they were before. So I'm, like I said, from their confidence, I've gained confidence in them finding their stride and being where they need to be. Not that I don't think they'll have their hiccups, but it's really anybody's league right now. It truly is.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and I'm excited for the next 2 games because I said the entire time I was more scared of Detroit than anyone at NFC.
I've always been more scared of Detroit than anybody else in the entire NFL. I think that they're the next. I think they're the next it.
Yeah, they had their also like holes. This like even the last week against the Vikings, like
they do. They are not perfect. I think last year they were probably more dangerous than they are this year. I think it's pretty rare that you can say that losing a coordinator is really what turns a team upside down. But losing Ben Johnson definitely didn't do them any favors.
No.
And on top of that, obviously last year they were riddled with injuries, so we didn't get to see a true matchup between them. I actually really wanted to see, and we've talked about this on the podcast, on record, that I very much wanted to see them versus us for the championship. I felt like that was the collision course all year. And then because of their injuries, it kind of hit the fan. And we ended up seeing the Commanders. But, I think that they're the game I've been looking forward to the most all year.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that game. I mean, obviously get there this week. First, it's not going to be an easy task, but yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be funny. The Lions play Washington this week. I really think that they're going to smoke them. I think they have some things from last year that are still roaming in their heads, and
I'm sure
a really beat up Washington team might just get murdered by this angry Lions team.
Maybe put your bets on a money line.
They're like 9-point favorites, but still.
But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, this is gonna be a couple fun weeks of football. I'm really excited for it. I know you are, and I'm sure all of our fans are as well, because I know we have so many.
So many. Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell.
But with that all being said, obviously, thank you guys for tuning in. If you did watch this episode, please make sure to like the video. And if you enjoy our content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys very much for all that you do for us. So thank you very much. We will be back with you guys next week with a review of the game and talking about the Lions preview. So make sure you stay tuned and join us again next week. And with that all being said again, hopefully we come back to you with a big W out of Lambeau Field. I think we need it and the team needs it. And I need to see a happy Maslij on Wednesday next week. So
We'll be shaved by then, and we're gonna have a big smile on our face.
But again, one last big thank you, guys. We appreciate you. Go Birds. We'll see you guys next week.
Let's go Birds, baby.